Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sonic Historian. I am your host, Radrey, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Marc. And today, our special guests with us are the creators of the fan-funded third season of Sonic Satam. Before we begin, could everyone introduce themselves and tell us what role it is you play within Team Season 3?
Okay, well, I'm Paul. I'm sort of the head of this whole thing and producing it. I started this many years ago, and it's taken a long time to get to this point. But yeah, no, we have a really great team with us right now. And yeah, I'm just producer, lead guy.
I'm Eric. I'm the dude what wrote the script. Been a Sonic fan pretty much my entire life. This project, both the comic and the animated episode that we're working on, kind of a dream project for me. So real passion in there.
And I'm Gloria. I actually was brought onto the team as a storyboard artist, and I ended up creating the entire storyboard and putting together the animatic. And so I was called the episodic director, but I have recently been promoted to director of the episode, which is a dream for me, because I always wanted to direct an animated series, and it's been a blast working with everyone.
So for context to those unfamiliar with Sonic Satam even is, Sonic Satam, or Sonic Saturday Morning, was coined by fans of the show Sonic the Hedgehog to help differentiate it from the many different iterations of the Sonic the Hedgehog television shows. This show premiered on American television on ABC Network on September 18th, 1993, lasting 2 seasons with 26 episodes. Due to poor ratings and a very early time slot all over the country, the show was canceled on a very inconclusive ending of killing off Sonic's main antagonist Robotnik and introducing a mysterious new character with menacing glowing red eyes. Despite Sonic Satam's short duration of time appearing on television, the show's release on VHS, DVD, and dedicated fan sites on the internet have helped maintain the memory of the show in the public consciousness. And the need for the Sonic Satam's revival has been in the minds of many fans for nearly 3 decades today. The biggest and most prominent fan tribune for Sonic Satam has been the Fans United for Satam, aka FUS, aka Team Season 3. So Paul, do you think you could tell us how FUS and Team Season 3 got its start from the very early beginning?
So back in like 2000 or 99, FUS, which is the site we're on, was owned by another lady, Allison. She went by Sonic, and she had, I can't remember how many issues she pushed out, because I joined in like 2001 or 2002, but I think she...
If I remember right, it was around 6.
Was it 6 issues? Yeah, it was 4 to 6.
About, like 4 or 6, somewhere in that area.
Anyways, and they had a Season 3 comic, and they pushed it out by issue. That sort of collapsed in like, I don't know, I think I joined in 2002, and it didn't really last too much longer after that. I took over the site, and I want to say 2009, 2010, and that's when I got Eric writing for me and a few other people on the team just doing the comic, because we wanted to start the comic back up again and do it under how we wanted to do it. This leads us
I remember you were reaching out to folks on the forums, looking to get that started again.
Yeah, it was just like a fun thing. We're trying to make the site better, and hey, how do we get it better? Let's do a comic. Let's start that. So Eric started writing with us then, and then in about 2013, me and a couple of people thought, hey, can we animate this? And we sort of played around with the idea. We went to Comic-Con. We showed some people sort of like a spoof trailer we had made up for us, and there was a lot of interest, but we just didn't have the team really assembled to actually approach an animation. Like, it's a lot of work to do animation and do it properly. And that's the one thing I made sure of, is I'm not doing some junky ass cartoon. I'm doing this proper. If we're going to do it proper, we're going industry standards. That's been that's set. So it sort of went on hiatus for a bit, and it was probably around 2018, 2018, when me and some people started talking again. Like me and Tim, he's my art director.
I want to say around October of 2018.
Yeah, around then. And so me and some people started talking again. Me and Tim started talking. I approached Eric and I said, Eric, what do you think? Like, do you think we can maybe give her a go? Right? Like, 'cause we started knowing more people at this point. We started knowing people, animators. We started knowing this people. So that's when we decided to kind of give it a go. And we still didn't know near as much as we had. But luckily, over time, we had Gloria join us, and she was in animation school. So she knew quite a bit. A little bit later on, we had Keith, who's my animation director. Great guy. He's in Italy. And, he's done stuff for like Gumball and a bunch of other cartoons. So, he actually knows the industry. So he was a big help. And from there, we just started, piecing together like the puzzle pieces of actually, okay, now we can actually stand a chance, and now we can actually do this fully properly. Industry standards, proper animators, proper composer. We had Nestor Estrada, great guy. He volunteered to do the whole composing for us. And that's about it.
That's interesting. Okay, so I kind of have a question about... So the person who started the FUS website, someone named Sonic, is that correct?
Yeah, Sonic, yeah.
Sonic, you've never met them. It was just something you came across, like, searching the internet randomly.
Oh, no, I didn't know her previously. I know her now. We're actually good friends. But I just previously, I ran across the internet. And honestly, this is bad of me saying this, because I was like 14 at the time. I was trying to find ways to pirately download Saturday AM.
That's okay. It was hard to find.
It was.
I'm sure you're excused.
So, remember those halcyon days of Real Player and stuff?
Well, that's what it was. It was the Real Player ones. And because Allison's site, FUS, used to link to a guy named Shredder's website, and it was in Russia. So, here I am, like 14 years old, and now I'm in Russian websites trying to read Russian. But he had all the Real Player things on his website that you could download. And I'm hanging out on my Windows 95 computer downloading Real Player clips from Russia. And that's how I got into the website, Fans United for Saturday AM, and that's how actually I remembered about Saturday AM, because I don't know how I even got into it. I just remembered I used to watch a show when I was a kid. It was Sonic, and that's what started my search, and that led me to FUS, which led me to Shredder's website, which was, I can't remember the name of the website, but it was all Russian anyways, so...
You were saying that there was because I've read the comic. The comic that existed on there, like, how many years was that in, like, development?
Oh, well, my comic's been in development since, or our comic here has been in development since, 2009 to 2010?
Yeah, I would say around September of 2009 was when that officially launched.
Yeah, whereas Sonic's one version ran from, I don't know, like 99 to 2001, somewhere in there. Our version is totally separated from that one. They don't share anything in common besides the actual name.
If I remember correctly, we used the cover from the first issue of Sonic's version of the comic as kind of a placeholder cover for our comic before it actually started. If I remember right, didn't the Sonic version, it was starting to focus in on the idea of Sonic's parents?
Oh, I'd have to reread it. It's been it's been like 20 years.
It's been a long time for me too, but if I remember correctly, that was sort of where that started going.
So on the website, you have for Sonic Satam, it's kind of like a treasure trove of information on the show and how it got put together. One of the most vocal creators in the show, Ben Hurst, has given a lot of input on what the third season might look like. How many of his ideas does Fans United for Satam intend to use? Is all of them?
That's a writer question. First thing to note is that actually a lot of what we now know about what Hurst was planning for the third season, we actually learned that after the comic started through Sonic. She posted this whole, because she was actually in contact with Ben Hurst for a while. So she posted this whole significantly detailed outline of a lot of the ideas he'd had for the third season, most of which we didn't know about, most of which was not public knowledge when the comic started. I know that what information we did have at the time, things like, Naugus and Snively having an alliance, that Naugus was the character whose eyes we see at the end of the series, and that he was going to be a big antagonist. We did make a point of incorporating that into the comic, right from the beginning. But by the time we learned more about what Hurst's vision for season 3 looked like, we kind of started laying down our own plans. In particular, Hurst's vision for Nicole's origin was very different from what we were developing at the time. So, we were kind of stuck in a situation where we couldn't use all of the ideas, but obviously we do still have a lot of respect for Hurst's role in the creative identity of the series. And a lot of his ideas are just really interesting and worth exploring in their own right. And we want to genuinely try and honor his legacy and vision for the series, even as we're also trying to tell our own story that we hope can kind of stand on its own. So it's a bit of a mixture in that respect.
So I guess this is kind of a question for Paul. So how did you determine that, as a person who's kind of the person who oversees everything in the project, I imagine you kind of have to assign different hats to different people. Which kind of brings me to this question here. Like with people like Eric, how did you say, okay, I want Eric to do the story writing because I feel like he has a background in that? How did you make that decision?
He saw my rugged profile and he just knew.
Oh, yes. How handsome he was. No. Well, for the comic, he was already writing for me for the comic, and at the point, all the people who submitted, he was the best. He had the best sort of fanfics going on at the time. He had the best writing ability. When you see some people submit, you're looking like, okay, your grammar's worse than mine. Mine's horrible. So I'm pushing you aside, and so Eric was the best candidate there, and I kind of knew him at that point, but not really that well, and we just sort of went from there. When it came to the animation, I couldn't think of anyone better to ask other than him because it was already his story that he was telling. So that's why I went, okay, do you think you can write an animated script? And Eric hadn't written one before. But so again, it was a learning process on his end too, but I wasn't about to go ask anyone else. I wanted to make sure, hey bud, do you think you can learn how to do this? Like, are you interested? And he was more than interested. So then it was, okay, let's give her a go. Let's see what we can do.
That's literally how he phrased it too. Hey bud.
That's pretty much how the email probably went. It was, hey bud, so I'm thinking here, trying to do this animation thing again. You ever did any animated scripts before? Probably not, but you want to give her a go?
And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So basically, this passion project that's lasted over basically, you could say 2 decades. You really you feel like that we're probably never going to see a Satam season 3. Would you say it's fair to say that? Like from like a production company, like let's say, what is it? Deke is gone? I don't know too much about Deke.
Yeah, Deke was bought out by Cookie Jar.
Yeah, it was then bought out by Wildbrain, that was then bought out by whoever they are now, and the list kind of goes on. It's transferred rights so many times. So Cookie Jar had it, then Shout got the distribution rights from it, and Shout went to Wildbrain, and Wildbrain went to somebody else right now. Also, it's just they own the first 2 seasons. They don't have the ability to produce further seasons. I remember talking to some people at Wildbrain at the time, and they basically came out and said, like, yeah, we have the rights for the show, but we don't have the rights to actually produce anything from it. And basically, even the DVD box set, you won't see any more of those come out because it was a one-time thing produced by Shout Factory, and now I think it's free on YouTube even right now. Sonic Saturday AM. I think they just put it out on YouTube.
Yeah,
anyone wants
I've been able to watch. It's made referencing stuff pretty easy for me, so that's good at least.
Yeah. So this is fully a fan-funded affair for a fan project. See how far we can get. Would I love to be picked up? Absolutely. I mean, it's happened before with stuff that's been fan made and it's gone picked up, so who knows what'll happen there. But as far as right now, I want to please the fans, I want to please all of our investors, which are all Patreons, and I want to make the best damn project I can for them. But as far as do I know all the legal stuff and legal history behind it, no, I don't. I just know little bits and pieces.
Okay, so because I've seen a couple like in your Discord and also on the website that, if Sega comes in, they say, nope, goodbye. You're probably worried. I'd be very worried.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if that happens, that would really, really suck.
Yeah, it really would.
So how we're doing it as a fan thing, right? We're none of us are making money off of it. We're paying animators and all that stuff, but there's no actual profit being made. All the money coming in is going right back into the people doing it. So no different than getting a commission or something like that. And everyone's contractors, and so far nobody's bothered us. Sega hasn't said yay or nay or anything like that. So we're just gonna keep on plugging away like how we're doing it, and hopefully everything turns out for the best, and we can show off a really nice, fan thing.
Sega actually tends to be cool with these kinds of things, thankfully, unlike Nintendo.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Eddie LeBron. He did a big, huge, live action Sonic one, and Sega was perfectly fine with that.
Okay, well, kind of going back onto the timeline here. So basically, you Eric, and then you guys, everybody produced the comic, and you had somebody who drew it, and they laid out the story. Do you have a story that is complete yet, like a full, season 3? Can you talk about this, or is this spoiler territory?
In terms of specifics, I can't say too much because, I know Paul in particular is pretty stringent that I not spoil stuff that hasn't already been published. But I do have, in terms of the comic especially, I do have a pretty clear outline of where I want to go. I don't know that I have a complete story. Writing is a very fluid process, so even as you go through kind of the phases you have outlined in your head, to take the kind of military expression, no plan survives first contact. You can frequently find yourself changing this or that detail here or there as you actually get into the nitty-gritty of writing it, which can cause the whole flow of the story to change. But broadly speaking, I do see kind of a pretty broad, complete story for this overall series.
Right.
Is the way you write this, is it episodic?
It's kind of a mixture of episodic and serialized, in much the same way that like the original Satam cartoon could be. For the most part, those episodes are pretty self-contained, but especially once you start getting into like the latter half of season 2, you can see how certain episodes feed into each other.
I mean, most definitely, like the latter half of season 2 with Mr. Hurst's writing definitely was self-referential in several terms, especially toward the finale, which was the Doomsday episode.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, like, are you really going toward more of an X-Files Monster of the Week sort of thing, or is there truly an overarching plot, significant overarching plot points that then connect it to a finale you have planned?
The comparison I would make is less to X-Files and more to something like Steven Universe, where you have, each episode is an individual story with its own beginning, middle, and end. But you can watch a single episode and you get something whole and satisfying out of it. But you can also see the ways in which the end of this episode will inform the beginning of that episode. There are longer-term story arcs and character arcs that develop over time through those connections. That's kind of the approach that I try to take.
Is there, with this season 3, is there something you've done to sort of like reintroduce or kind of give a recap or a backstory of what has happened prior for new viewers or new children who want to watch this?
Yeah. I know that the animated version, we included a prologue specifically for that purpose, actually, to kind of quickly reintroduce a lot of the key details, so that you can kind of make sense of it from there. Yeah.
We have, like, the very opening has, like, a narration of Sonic kind of explaining some past events so that new viewers can understand, oh, this happened. And I wanted to touch up on the point of episodic and serialized. Our show is definitely a hybrid. I think the original Satam was. Ours might slightly lean more towards serialized because I feel like it's a little more in-depth, because I feel like modern audiences would prefer that as well. I think that came to Eric intuitively, but it was a great call. But the thing is that new viewers watching it, they could, even if they don't understand all the details, they get a general sense of what's going on, and they can still understand the story. So it fits the requirements for episodic, but as far as serialized, it definitely has an overarching story. And so, but new viewers can still hop on, and they could still understand what's going on, and just enjoy it and watch it and become fans.
That is the ideal.
So we were talking a little earlier that we were saying that you kind of want to do what Sonic Mania did. It's a very big fan creation. And your kind of your hope is kind of get the attention of Sega or somebody who's Sega adjacent. Do you have any idea on how that might look? Are you hoping for them to approach you, or are you hoping to approach them, or is it kind of just you're playing it by ear?
We did have some contact with a guy who, again, he didn't work for Sega anymore. He was part of Sega of Europe and did stuff like that. We had contact with him. This is at the very beginning. And again, through other contacts of ours, we know people in the Sega area, but in the areas that we really need to get hold of, not so much, right? Because it's a big company, obviously, and where you got to get a hold of, we're not there yet. I want to have a finished concept, a finished episode, which we're working on right now. And from there on, would I like to show it to Sega? Yes, if they'd be willing to see it. Would I like to show it to networks or whoever? Absolutely. Could this get picked up? Yeah, I've dreams, I have hopes. I would love for it to get picked up, even if that's to get changed around or anything like that. The way we're considering this, and me and Keith especially, is this is a pilot. It's a pitch. It's a full-on pitch. We're going to do one episode. It's a total pitch. I mean, even if you remember Saturday AM, the first pilot episode had it looked totally different than the rest of the show. You know, you had Pink Sally. Nicole was the size of like a giant desktop computer. All that stuff, right? So what I'm considering this as is this is our pitch. This is our pilot. This is what we go to these companies with, like Sega or a production company or something like that, and say, hey guys, this is the pitch. Now, how would you like to change it if we can get it going further? And I think a lot of shows did that. They always had some sort of pilot episodes. That's where you go to the networks. You pitch it to the networks, and then the networks either say yay or nay, or yes, we'll do it. We have to switch this stuff up, and okay, then we'll go switch that stuff up. So that's kind of where we're at right there. I would love for Sega to contact me. Awesome. If I have to contact them, go for it. But I want to have an actual nailed down pitch to show them before anything. I'm not gonna
Right. Okay.
fast,
So your intent kind of is you would really like to show somebody at Sega this.
Oh, I would absolutely love to show somebody at this. I would love to just like bang down their office door and be like, "Yo," slam it on their desk and be like, "Yeah." Right?
You got to show us this. I want to see this happen.
Yeah. I'm just gonna kick down that door with a laptop. Exactly
No.
Like, who are you? Just slam the thing on their desk, hit play, keep them in their seat. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. No.
Okay. All right. So for somebody who, like I was also saying earlier, that somebody who's like a huge fan of Satam, I would love to see this project come to full fruition, if possible. So with this in mind, is there anything I could do, or I could encourage other people to do, I mean, besides making this podcast right now, that would help support this cause?
Patreon.
Well, Patreon's your number one. This is totally
Spread awareness.
Money.
Okay.
Yeah. Spread word. The podcast is doing that, so that's brilliant. So thank you very much, and thank you for this opportunity. Like, I seriously mean it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, no. I wanted to have this.
Yeah,
Definitely. This is so
Patreon
fun.
is our number one. That's how we're making this money. This is 100% fan funded. Nobody, like, I'm not making a cent off this. The whole production crew's not making any pennies off of this. We pay the animators, but really they're putting in a lot of basically free labor too. Like, we're not paying industry standards. We're way below, and they're willing to do this because this is a labor of love. And we've found animators that are doing this for a labor of love. But Patreon is our big one. So spread word of our Patreon, spread word of our comic. We've been doing this since 2010, or the comic anyways. The animation just last few years, but if anyone out there who has any talent in animation, backgrounds, animation production, anything like that, if you're interested in this, contact us. That's because we're still a growing team. We still need.
I also want to add, like Instagram story shares, retweets, like just spreading our content, because this is a fan-funded product. So if people cannot pay out of their own pockets to help, spreading word to others so that other people can help will really benefit us. And so that's an alternative to not paying directly, and it is very helpful to us, because the fans are the ones who are keeping us going.
Even if only like one person out of every 100 can afford to spend $1 on us, that's more than worth it.
You don't have to talk about this, but maybe you could talk. I don't know how you're going to talk about this without going into spoiler territory, so that's why I put this at the end. But are there any plans of introducing new characters into the Sonic IP, into the story? Let's say like a character like Amy Rose or Shadow the Hedgehog. Or are there any stories you'd like to tell that the Sonic Satam universe simply can't or hasn't?
So in terms of can't stories, no, I don't really consider anything off limits. Like, within reason, like I'm not going to be doing like Breaking Bad, but it's Sonic characters, with all the cussing and the violence and stuff. But
yes,
like
we are. Whole meth lab and everything.
By all means, I'd love to see that comic. That would be very interesting. Not what we're doing. But beyond like that sort of thing, I don't really think there's any specific cant stories with the SatAM universe.
Okay.
It's really interesting to me how adaptable it is because it comes from such a unique conflagration of influences. Like you have the games, which are relatively lighthearted as kind of the baseline, but then they sort of go off in their own direction, which is a little darker and moodier. So you can actually navigate a lot of different ideas and stories, and it still feels authentic to that universe.
Mm-hmm.
And by that same token, I can't, you're right that it's kind of spoilery to say, so I can't really specify. But I will say, there's so many characters from all across the Sonic franchise that I would love to introduce into the SatAM universe. I think one of the things that's always been very fun for me, even back when I was watching the show and kind of comparing the version I saw on TV versus the versions in the games, it's really fun to imagine what these characters look like when they make the jump into that universe. What stays the same? What changes? How do you fit them into this narrative context in a way that simultaneously makes them feel like they're part of it, but also still honors who they are at their core? Obviously, our main focus is going to be on the original SatAM characters, but I will say that I can promise that there is at least one Sega character. The comic fans already know this, and the animated fans will know it once the episode releases. But there is at least one Sega character who will be adding into the SatAM universe, and I would definitely be interested in seeing how many more I can find a place for.
Not to mention in the comic itself,
I have to add, actually,
plenty of characters.
If you've seen the animatic on our YouTube, you will actually notice that we have a handful of Archie characters as Easter eggs in our opening of the opening of the show, which the team actually got permission from. I believe they actually got permission from Archie. Paul might have to clarify, but
no, we got the permission from the creator of those characters.
Which creator is that?
But yeah, you'll see some other ones.
See. I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
And
understood.
Tim, our art director, actually redesigned them to fit into the world of SatAM, so that they didn't stand out. So yeah, you look forward to that. It'll be fun.
Hello there. Thank you for listening this far into the interview. If you're still listening at this point, thank you. First of all, if it would be in your best interest, it would be a big help if you could go to whatever podcasting service you're listening to with this, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, or however you're listening to this podcast, and leave us a review and a 5-star rating. If you don't want to leave us a 5-star rating, that's fine. Give us some critiques. We want to hear from you. Next week, part 2 of our interview with Team Season 3 will be released with a more in-depth exploration of not only how they write an episode, but also how they animate one. There's this and so much more. If you can't wait for part 2, join our Sonic Historian Discord server in the description below for earlier access. And yeah, it's there. Just go to the announcements channel and you can listen to it right now. Alright, I think that's probably a good place to end it. Unless, I'll say the phrase I say all the time. Does anybody have anything you want to say before we go?
Thanks again for having us on.
Way
Okay.
past cool.
I enjoyed this talk with you. I feel like I've gone more in depth on this talk with some some things that I've been what's it called? Just questions people haven't asked me before, and it was just really fun sharing. And you had I even learned a lot about the history of SatAM. There was some stuff that I didn't even know, so it was great, and I'm really glad you invited us on.
Oh.
Yeah, no problem. Mark, you have something to say?
Not really. I'm burnt out.
Yeah. All right. Well,
I ran out of steam 30 minutes ago. I'm sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
I've been listening though, of course. So.
Okay. Yeah. No. I think what you're doing. Because when I first started this podcast, you were actually the first person or people, I should say, that came to mind. Like I was wondering, like, could I get somebody from the team season 3 on the show? Maybe I could, because I do this other podcast called Why Come Japan, which has been on hiatus, and I have a lot of experience, asking people and trying to approach them, and figuring out like what are the social cues that are appropriate, to get somebody on a show like this one.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, yeah, you talked to Megan on all this, and I'm glad.
Megan's great. Again, Megan, you're probably listening. Thank you for organizing all this. I'm about to dive into
Megan's
the
awesome.
plugs. Anything you guys want to say about Megan before I dive into the plugs?
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.
We're so happy to have her on the team.
It's
She's
true.
done good. No, she's pretty new. Only maybe a month, 2 months, but she's actually working out really good.
Yeah.
Seems like everybody needs somebody on their team like Megan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's helped out a lot because we didn't have anyone to do organization like this before, or deal with people or social media or anything like that. We sort of dabbled in ourselves. So hiring an actual admin to deal with all this stuff lets us go back to making an episode.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to whatever it is. So to dive deep into the plugs here, you can support Team Season 3, everything you just heard, through their Patreon. They definitely need your support. I think that's probably the best place to send people, because I think you want to see this come to fruition. Hopefully everything that you heard today is enough to tell you these guys knows what they're doing. These guys know what they're doing. I can't speak. These guys know what they're doing. Oh boy.
Thank you very
I must
much.
be getting tired. Yeah.
Boy, that is some real nice credit you're giving us there.
No, it is good. I like what I'm seeing.
Our Patreon, our Twitter, our new Instagram, they're all being updated constantly. Honestly, come check us out. If you want to throw a couple bucks in, awesome. If not, just spread the word, guys. That's what helps us out the most.
All right, then. So in terms of some housekeeping for us here at the Sonic Historian, be sure to join the Discord and the link in the description down below. Everything we talked about today will be in the description, particularly the Patreon page that you can go find. If you found an error or a mistake or an oopsie that any of us have done, be sure to tell us, down in the Discord. All down there. Introduce yourself, choose a role. If you want to become a historian, please do so. Also, for my own personal plugs, I sometimes stream Sonic on twitch.tv/radculture. You can come check me out there. Yeah, and Mark?
What do I say? I don't know.
Your Famicom Mark on Instagram.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's not actually not Famicom Mark. I'm Super Famicom.
Oh, excuse me. All right.
So yeah, Instagram I'm Super Famicom, and on Twitch I'm Famicom Mark. So, you can find me streaming usually Sega Saturn games and Super Famicom games, among other things. Anyway, thank you all for joining us. It's been really
Thank you for having
fun,
us.
of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, so until then, I'm Radrey, and
I'm Mark.
And that was Paul, Eric, and Gloria. See you guys.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.